I'm Sandra Rupp. I'd like to thank the whole world for watching. I worked in both the television business as well as executive search. The United Nations, the World Economic Forum, are attempting an election steal of the U.S. election 2020. And I am here to tell you that we must stop this steal. I would like to request that the CEO of AP, Gary Pruitt, call me. I am 100% sure that Donald J. Trump is your president for the next 4 years. I want you to all go research for yourself something called Dominion voting systems. Dominion is the voting software that was used in several of the key states, what are called the swing states. Dominion was purchased by a gentleman named Lord Mark Malloch Brown. He used to work for George Soros. They're best friends. He also worked at the United Nations. They just wanted to insert their extra ballots in the software system and pretend that Joe Biden won it. No one came out for Joe Biden's rallies. We know he didn't win. Right now, the election outcome, based on the legal electoral college votes, 232 for Trump, 227 for Biden. The liberal media is being controlled by a handful of men. Unfortunately, there are enough smart women like me, Maria Bartiromo, Emerald Robinson, and others doing great jobs in anchoring and telling the real news of what's going on. And we have heard from the head of the Federal Elections Commission that he also believes there's fraud. Rudy Giuliani is now getting the affidavits together and the legal cases, and you will find step by step by step that President Trump did indeed win this election. It's very important for my friends at the Financial Times and the former editor Lionel to know this. For all the math majors out there, I'd like you to go look up Benfords Law. Benfords Law will show you the statistical irregularities in the U.S. election. When you look at the fact that Donald Trump had the women's vote go up, he had the African American vote go up, he had the Hispanic vote go up from 2016, it is a statistical irregularity that Biden won. Big city in Wisconsin, like Milwaukee. Based on the number of ballots that were tabulated, the turnout would have to be close to 90%. I assure you that for most cities in the Midwest, like a Cleveland, I believe it was like in the 50s or 60%. There are lawsuits and affidavits going on in the other states, and Biden cannot claim a victory. Indeed, what really upsets me about the big tech companies right now, like the Googles and the Facebooks and YouTubes and the Twitters, is that they're trying to censor people. They haven't censored me because I think they know I'm a little too powerful to be censored. But I don't like the way that they're tagging people that Joe Biden has won the election according to AP. With all of these legal challenges right now, Donald Trump has the majority of the electoral college votes. We are very confident that Pennsylvania will go for President Trump. We also know that North Carolina is now going for President Trump. But the big media didn't want you to see President Trump ahead. They wanted to, snow you over. The powers that be over at Davos and Bilderberg wanted to see if they could steal the election. Well, you cannot, gentlemen. So I'd be happy to interview the likes of George Soros, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos, as well as the former Unilever CEO, former CEO of MasterCard. Look, I've met some of these gentlemen. I know what they're up to. I know what their morals and ethics are. Every single citizen who votes and wants a secure vote should be concerned about this, and because it's really important that we get this right. Because if we don't, we can't pass on freedom to the next generation. I want you to remember who told you that President Trump won the election, because I do think this is a career-making moment. When I went to business school at Kellogg at Northwestern, it was the #1 school ranked at the time. I always wanted to be the CEO of a media company, and now I am. I named my company Parthenon Advisors, named after the Parthenon in Greece, the birthplace of democracy, dedicated to Athena, the goddess of wisdom and knowledge, but she was also the helper of heroes. So he actually won it on election night, but the big media didn't want to reveal that because they're left-wing and primarily based in one city, New York. The Great Reset is not about the Paris Accord or climate change, which are socialism-based. The Great Reset is that we're going to get a boatload of conservative and Republican women to Davos. We are not going to let the billionaires decide this election. No, we're not going to let STEM majors and men decide this election. Indeed, despite what the media told you, the women in the suburbs voted for Donald Trump. We have to ensure integrity in our election process. We are hearing about voter fraud in several states. We have seen the media coverage try to hold back calls on North Carolina and Georgia and other states from President Trump to make it look like he was losing. And the executive editor of the Associated Press is a woman named, I believe it's Sally Busby. Look like you're a very solid executive editor. But right now, your reputation is on the line, along with your CEO, who has a legal background. I don't do these videos on politics because I enjoy doing them. I do them because I have to. As someone who has the gift of communication, of writing skills, blogging, tweeting, my YouTube channel has had views in 168 countries. I've been following these conferences for a decade, and I know exactly what's going on. And I learned a lot of things from my father about election coverage, media coverage, polling. But he was a man with integrity. And we talked about the election before he died. He died 2 years ago. He had a lot of respect for President Trump. We've both met President Trump. He was chairman of the American Women in Radio and Television. He watched every single media company, the major networks, media coverage of the 2016 election. And he said, you know, Sandra, they're all biased. You can get a poll to say anything that you want it to say based on who you poll. And the thing that upset my father and I so much is that the liberal media overpolls Democrats. So they don't take the right percentage of Republicans and Democrats and independents. They overpoll Democrats so that their polls are skewed. And they fed you lies, basically, through this whole election. You can see that Biden was not up 10% in the popular vote. That was a flat-out lie. This bothers me. It skews the election. It hurts integrity. It's not a good example for children. And it really keeps me up at night. So I will continue to do what I can do to expose the truth in media and to expose the truth of the election. All the networks are biased, left-wing. CBS probably a little less so than ABC and NBC. Fox, run by Rupert Murdoch, is not as liberal, but under Lachlan Murdoch, it has become liberal now. So really everyone is now vacating Fox News, and they're going to go to, channels like mine. They're going over to Emerald Robinson on Newsmax. They love Maria Bartiromo, of course, on Fox Business. If you're going to create change, you need to embarrass the men a little bit. So we've had to do a little bit of that. Certainly the Unilever CEO has been through that. We've had to take on Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, and we always do it with a bit of a smile on our face. The more successful a man is, I would say, the more vulnerable he is, because it's lonely at the top. They'll all admit that if you really, really ask them. It is lonely at the top. But the reality is that rather than pursuing the money and the power, I think it's better to pursue something like doing something really good for the world. But doing something really good for the world is not excluding women at Davos. It's not excluding women at Bilderberg. It's not saying that women should be STEM majors. Many women like to major in the humanities. I majored in history and then got my MBA. And the one thing that I can tell you is that history for me was the most important major, because the only thing new in the world is the history you don't know. That was Harry Truman. And by studying history, I knew to value freedom. And I knew to value that moment when my ancestors got on that Mayflower, men and women, the Brewster family. My ancestor was the Reverend William Brewster. He was the only college-educated person on the Mayflower. He had gone to Cambridge. I studied at Oxford. And he brought his family over, and they had the first Thanksgiving here. And so for me, the legacy is to preserve freedom and to preserve what the Brewsters came over here for, which was freedom of religion and freedom of speech. We will get this right, and we will not stop until this is done right. So for anyone who thinks that, they can snow over the American women and walk away with the selection and take it from President Trump, watch out, because we've got his back, and we are 100% sure that he won this election. I'm Sandra Rupp, filming from the #1 happiest, healthiest city in the USA. Thanks so much for watching. I was placed on the Thinkers 50 radar list for the world's top business thinkers. I have viewers in 168 countries, and I appreciate all of you for subscribing right here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you'd like to be interviewed on camera, I invite any of you gentlemen at Davos and Bilderberg to come right here on camera. We can do it virtually or in person. For executive coaching, contact me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for watching. Love you all. I'm Sandra Rupp, and I was placed on the Thinkers 50 Guru radar list for the world's top business thinkers. Welcome to the art of 21st century career navigation. We're ready for Davos.